Thank you,
The gentleman's
Mr.
time has
Secretary.
expired. I now yield 5 minutes to the gentleman from California, Congressman Bilbray.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. You know, we're supposed to do oversight and reform, so we're trying to get the information so that we can do the reform to make sure the next time this process comes up, we have procedures and laws that address this. And so it's real important that we identify how this went so we can try to correct it and make sure it doesn't happen again. Not only in March, you knew that there was a so-called disclosure issue. But in February, you had said in a speech that one of the major issues that you were concerned about is the lack of disclosure that was causing the American people not to trust the system. Now, I think we'll all agree that in layman's terms, with the average citizen, when they heard disclosure issue, they hear cover-up. Now, why in a system that's supposed to be open, the American people have a right to know where their money goes. Why was there even a disclosure issue? Why were we even discussing the so-called cover-up of the $160 billion, where it was going in this process? Why was that even an issue that as soon as you knew that there was a problem there, that somebody didn't clarify this? Was that your staff had basically did not inform you that there had been this cover-up, this disclosure issue? And did you make that decision, or was that decision made outside? Because AIG sent the information over. It was an internal process within the government itself that said, we're not going to disclose to the public this information.
My colleagues at New York Fed, I think, have put in the public domain a very thoughtful explanation of the judgments they wrestled with and ultimately reached. And I know, and I'm confident, that their colleagues in Washington spent a huge amount of time throughout those months trying to wrestle with how to meet the understandable public interest in greater disclosure of these things. And they ultimately, I think appropriately, came to the decision that they could and should put that information in the public domain. Now, you're exactly right. I have been a great proponent of greater transparency, and the centerpiece of the strategy that we adopted to fix this mess in the financial system was to force the largest banks in the country to disclose for the first time to the public, to all investors, the scale of losses they might face in the event this recession was much more damaging than it proved to be. And that provided the basis for private investors judging who was strong, who was less strong, and deciding to put in capital into those institutions.
Were you told, in other words, did your staff know the cover-up was there, disclosure issue was there, before you knew it was there? Was the decision to
again, I don't. I think again, as the record the committee's already put in the public domain shows, there were discussions that were happening about what to disclose when throughout that period of time.
Were you involved in those discussions?
As I said in my thing, I'll say it again. I played no role in decisions about what to disclose about these transactions to these individual counterparties.
Did your staff make the decision not to inform you or include you in that decision-making process?
Yes, they did, although I made the decision.
Would you want to know about that, or would you prefer that you didn't know about it at the time?
I think in retrospect, I wish I'd known, frankly. But after November 24th, I appropriately removed myself from decisions about a whole range of policy issues the Fed was dealing with. But the people that were making those decisions, in close consultation with people in Washington and with legal counsel, are people of great judgment, enormous integrity, and I have enormous trust and confidence, not just in their judgment, but in the quality decisions they made throughout that period of time.
Do you feel today that at the time that they made the decision to do the cover-up, the disclosure issue, that they felt you did not want to know about it at the time? Do you think they made a decision
I do not. In my entire time there, I was never aware of a situation in which my colleagues sought to shield me from something consequential. I was president of the New York Fed. I was going to be accountable for decisions made on my watch. But after the 24th, for reasons that I think are fair and right for the institution, I could no longer run those day-to-day judgments. And I withdrew from those, and I think those were necessary. Now,
and your staff decided to shield you from the cover-up side of it, too?
No, I decided that I would withdraw myself from. I didn't decide this alone. I decided this in consultation with the chairman of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System and with the incoming administration to protect the institution from the unique condition that I was in then.
Mr. Secretary, what date did you know that there was a cover-up, a disclosure issue? When were you informed?
I only knew about these discussions about disclosure when they started to be in the public domain. I actually don't know when they first rose to the attention of the Congress, but when they rose to the attention of the Congress and they were in the press, then I was aware of them.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.